Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Actually, everyone. I'm Izzy. This is Nicolleta, and we are partway through our first week of both Vancouver Canucks and Vancouver Goldeneyes hockey. Pretty exciting, if I do say so myself, even though some of the scores may not have been ideal, but that's okay because
That's what we're here to discuss.
exactly, and it's a young season, and we've got time. This, if any time if there's any time that you need to work through chemistry or team issues, that is
It's
now.
at the beginning, yeah.
Exactly, right? You don't want to be trying to sort that out like end of April. But with that being said, we did have our first Canucks Goldeneyes doubleheader, even though both teams were out of town. But the Vancouver Goldeneyes played on Wednesday at 4 p.m. against the Ottawa Charge. And then the Vancouver Canucks played at 7 p.m. against the Anaheim Ducks. And we did get to drastically different scores. But again,
Yeah.
that's what we're here to talk about. So maybe we will start with the Goldeneyes game then. I
Yeah,
understand that you did the recap for that game.
it did.
Would you like to
Uh,
take us through your observations?
my observation. Yeah. I think the best way that I can summarize that game was just lack of cohesion.
Hmm.
And there was a little bit of sloppiness.
Yeah.
Like, there were moments when I was like, oh, wow, it's slowly starting to come together, but the chemistry just wasn't there the entire time. And I think that's really what showed in the final score of 5-1.
Yeah.
Um, I think if Maschmeyer wasn't in net, it would have been a lot worse
Hmm. Oh yeah.
because two of those goals, I believe two of them were empty netters, if I'm not mistaken. At least one was.
I think it was one.
Well, regardless,
Yeah.
Maschmeyer was playing very well,
Hmm.
but her team just wasn't in front of her that night. And it's unfortunate to say, but that's just the case.
And I feel like it's a bit of a wake-up call for fans who like seeing the hype around this team early on or like, yeah, this is it. We're gonna go get the Walter Cup with like no roadblocks or anything. But
Yeah.
it's a highly competitive league, and of course you're gonna hit those roadblocks, especially when you're a new team with new teammates that hasn't quite had the time to gel yet, right? Like we saw the resilience and all that in the game against the Torrent on Friday.
The
But like,
want is there.
yeah, exactly. But like you had mentioned, there are still some things that we can see need to be cleaned up, right? Like, something that stuck out to me was turnovers. Like, I think at
Yeah.
least two of the goals that Ottawa scored
Pretty
were,
sure three
yeah, two or three were like a result of
of
turnovers, right?
turnovers.
And that's, of course, that's not something you want for a team, but to be figuring those issues out early on and hammering them down now is where we're hoping to see the team go from there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think my issue with the game was there was just a lot of it almost seems as though they're skating faster than the puck handling. So the
Mhm.
puck gets too like far away from them and they can't control it. Like they're all very talented skaters. There's no doubt about that. Like there's one thing that the Vancouver Goldeneyes are, and they're good at skating. Like they're
Mhm.
fast on the ice. It's just the lack of control of the puck that I
You know
think
what?
is, yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
It's really not bad. Like they can skate very well, but it's just sometimes the puck gets away from them and then they're skating too fast because it's like drifting ahead of them and then they try and skate even faster, but then they're going too fast. Yeah, it's just the head. Like, I think they would really benefit from doing those drills where they have like a bunch of pucks in the center ice and they just go with one puck and they have to use the same puck to go in between all of them.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Have you
Yeah,
ever seen
yeah.
that?
No, no, no. Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
I think they would really benefit from doing
Mhm,
that maybe a little bit more often, or just drills that have to do with that, so
mhm,
that they can nail getting it to the front of the net, and then they can focus about shooting. Because right now they're not even doing that.
mhm.
They're like Claire Thompson has the most goals. And Miss, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but she's a defender, right?
Yeah, yeah.
For the Vancouver Canucks, that's fine. You have Quinn Hughes. But for the Goldeneyes, for literally any other hockey team, I'd say that's probably not a good start. So
Yeah.
that's
I do wonder if because um you look at yesterday's lineup and of course we know this is a very new team and already to like right from the bat off the draw it's almost like then you're missing two players, right? Because of course we know Sarah Nurse is out day to day with an upper body injury, and then of course Emma Greco took a major penalty like only a couple seconds, couple minutes into the first period, which left Vancouver without yet another player. So we're missing two players all of a sudden, and it's like,
to be fair, Greco, there was no reason for that hit to have happened.
mm-hmm.
Like I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that was just a bad hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I totally understand why they give her a 5 minute. Like I was like,
Yep.
this is gonna happen regardless. Like she's out. She may as well just walk down. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, so I think that's more her inflicting it on the team. But regardless, the team should be able to bounce back from that. And yes, Sarah Nurse is a key player, but you're a team. Like one player does not define the team as a whole. It's all the moving parts together.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just give like I don't want to say give up because there definitely seemed like there was some efforts at times, but overall it just seemed like there wasn't any urgency, kind of what we saw in the first game, the first two periods, where
Yeah.
there was just no sense of urgency. It was just kind of sloppy. As you said, turnovers happened, puck control wasn't there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think these are all just beginning problems,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, yeah.
they're learning because they've only been playing together for like 2 weeks. Like training camp was only a
Yeah.
week before the home opener, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a lot of time
Oh, yeah.
to build team chemistry. And I think it was actually really well. I think Sarah Nurse actually hinted a little bit at that whole like team chemistry thing at the last press conference,
Mm-hmm.
where she said, "Yeah, we'll really get the opportunity to bond as a team on the road trip.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's where you bond."
Mm-hmm.
And that to me was like, she knows.
Mm-hmm.
Like they all know that they have to build team chemistry. Like the talent is there, but they gotta be cohesive as a team. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
that's
I'm sure that's something that we'll see in the coming games, right? Like as we've pretty much said this whole podcast, like it's a new team. They're still figuring things out. It's one game, right? So of
it is one
course
game. Like
in
don't be discouraged.
yeah, in the Vancouver market, people are very quick to jump to conclusions
Conclusions
and like yeah, even write things off from like what, like one goal. So it's one game.
at the end of the
We
world.
can all calm down.
Yes, it wasn't the ideal performance,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna shy away from that. It was
Mhm,
not a fantastic performance, and I'm
mhm,
pretty sure Brian Adelsky would say the same
mhm,
because he's a very blunt person.
mhm.
But you got to be able to move forward from a performance like that and just
Yeah.
kind of hit the reset button and go from there.
Exactly. And the Goldeneyes next game is on what is the date on Saturday? 29th? Or is it the 20th?
Saturday, Saturday
It's
would be the 29th because
yeah.
first is Monday.
Yeah. Uh yeah. So their next game is on Saturday. I believe it's a 9 a.m. start time for those who are interested in watching. They'll be taking on the New York Sirens in Newark. So yeah, who knows? Will we see a bounce back? You'll have to tune in on Saturday to see. But honestly, like if this road trip does not go as they would hope or plan, I wouldn't be surprised. Just given that, like, again, as we have said the whole episode, new team, still figuring things out. This is their first road trip. Like there are lots of things to hammer down, right? If we were seeing this in February, then
I'd be a little concerned.
Yeah. But it's November, it's been 2 games. So
we're fine.
Yeah, it is what it is, right?
Now the Vancouver Canucks. I think I think my word of the day for the Vancouver Canucks is disappointing. And it's not because of the reasons that you think it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is talent on the team. It's just being misplaced and misused.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also players that you have in your top 2 lines that, like, okay, I'm sorry, but Evander Kane has got to go. HOTT, OGO, I got to go. Like, he's not contributing to the team. Like, he had a goal yesterday, but overall, his performance in the game was not great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like, you have to get rid of players that are not contributing in a positive way. And yes, you may want to win, but you have to be able to win with a team that is able to win.
Mm-hmm.
And again, bringing it back to the AHL boys, like, there's nothing wrong with that. They're decent hockey players, but they're not at the NHL caliber yet. You can't expect them to perform. Like, Carlson was phenomenal last night, and Sasson also had a goal. But these are not the boys that should be your primary, like, goal scorers. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they should not have to carry the burden of the team because your front lines are not able to produce. Like, where is Elias Pettersson? Like, I'm not seeing any, I guess leadership is the word that I'm looking for. He's kind of very silent, and I don't see that aspect to him. I think Quinn can only do so much. Like, the guy is injured. The guy's, like, put his whole team on the back. Like, it's tough, but yeah. And then they're thinking of trading Sherwood, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, it's just disappointing. I don't know. What do you think? I kind of went off on a tangent there. Sorry.
No, you're good. The trade thing we can discuss later because I actually had that on the docket. But
Okay.
For those who did not watch yesterday's game, the Canucks actually did win 5-4 against the Anaheim Ducks, who is the top team in the Pacific Division right now. I have been viewing this win as an appeasing win, to appease the fans. You see it pretty often where the Canucks will have a surprising win. Like, for example, last week against the Tampa Bay Lightning, they won 6-2 after scoring 5 goals in the third period. One win like that to appease the fan base, and then they go on a string of losses. That's the way I view things. And I think yesterday's win was an example of that, just because it's one of those where a lot of people say it's the kind of win that they need right now with everything being so bleak in the market. And of course, you mentioned the whole trade thing, and we'll get into that later, but yeah, it's one of those wins. And the main standout for me, of course, a lot of people pointed this out as well, because it's the style of hockey that the Anaheim Ducks play is no defense whatsoever. You just see chances back and forth and back and forth. I believe by the end of the game, Anaheim had put up 46 scoring chances while the Canucks had 37. So
that's not hockey.
This is like a style of hockey that you're not playing at the NHL level. Well, you can, and we saw that they did. But it's not
clearly the Anaheim Ducks, are doing something right, but
it's not one that like coaches are a fan of, unless, say, you have a younger team and you want to help instill confidence in your young offensive players, which in that case, it would make sense for the Ducks, but it's probably not something you want to see from Vancouver. Although, that being said, they did win, but you're not going to win most of those kinds of games. There needs to be a certain level of defense to the game. And we didn't see that as much yesterday, but I'm sure that means that Adam Foote and the rest of like the coaching staff are going to lock it down now that they're not playing the Ducks or whatever. But even so, I am kind of impressed that they managed to keep up with the Ducks, because the Ducks are a very fast team and the Canucks could use a little more speed, but they were able to keep up. And you had mentioned the Abbey boys, Carlson, Bain Sassone. I was actually quite impressed with how they played last night. They didn't play a whole lot, but those instances where they were on the ice, you could see, like, for example, in Carlson's goal, both Baines and Sassone are there right before him, right? Like, they're going into the boards, they're going to get that puck, they're doing those battles. And those are the right things you need to do, right? To kind of generate chances. And I think for Baines, with that being his first game back in the lineup in 5 games, like, it was good to see that. And I think, if anything, that will help him stay in the lineup, opposed to a player like Lucas Reichel, who has still been sitting out healthy scratched. But we can get into that later as well with the whole trade thing. In summary, it was the kind of win they needed to calm the fan base down. I don't know if it's sustainable, and I don't think it is, but
I was just gonna say it's that type of win that's just kind of like, it's almost like a pity win. Like, I don't want to, because they earned it, but it was kind of just like, okay, we needed to win a game.
yes.
Like, it didn't feel like there was any consistency to that. It just felt like pure raw, like, emotion of, we need to get this win, and that's just how, like, we're gonna get it through doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But as you said, like, it's not consistent, it's not sustainable, and it's not what Vancouver hockey should be.
It was an entertaining game, to say the least. There were lots of chances, but it's not.
The poor camera guy was probably going,
yeah, and poor, like, it's not something, especially with Adam Foote being a former defenseman, probably not something he wants to see going forward. So those are our takeaways from the past 2 Canucks and Goldeneyes games.
Yeah.
I guess from there we can go into the whole trade situation that's going on with the Canucks right now. I don't even know. There's a lot. So how did this even start? I mean, like, people have been talking about the Canucks potentially making a trade for a while now, but I believe it was on Monday. Yeah, I think it was Monday that Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman came out dropping an article at like 8 or 9 p.m. Pacific or something like that, saying, yeah, so the Canucks are making like almost everyone available for trade, all their veterans. Or not available, but everyone is on the market. And the 2 players he listed as not being on the market as of right now are Quinn Hughes and Filip Hronek, which is interesting because for the longest time, people have been saying, oh, Quinn Hughes is like, because he hasn't signed yet, flip him now while you still can. And management has not been shy about this either, where they've been like, we're going to do what's best for the team. If he, like, we're going to figure out what his future is, and then we'll make the moves from there. Like, they haven't exactly denied the possibility of trading Quinn Hughes at any various point. And then they come out here and say, yeah, we're not trading him. But he still hasn't signed. It's one of those things where it's a perplexing message to send to a fan base that is already very confused.
I mean, I'm not part of management, so I don't know what their thought process is on the whole thing. But I can give my opinion on how I think they're doing in regards to this whole situation, and it's not well. I don't think they're handling it very well. I think, honestly, people said you need to keep one of JT or Elias Pettersson. I was on the team of you need to get rid of both.
Fire sale again.
Because, yes, JT may have instigated, but Elias Pettersson is still part of the equation. So why would you continue, like, not even just in terms of like the drama aspect, but the playing aspect? Like, yeah, he's doing fine. Is he doing whatever, however much money he's getting paid fine? Absolutely not. You could get a lot better assets for that kind of money. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's tough because the commitment level between management and some of their key players right now is iffy. Because you have, of course, Hughes is only locked in for one more year. Demko, you've got for 3, 4. Lankinen, you've got 4 or 5. Besser now is 7 years, right? And then Garland is kind of in that last year of his like old deal where he doesn't have the whole no trade thing yet. And then once the 5 years comes up, like that hits. And then of course you've got DeBrusk who signed for another like 4 or 5. So you've got inconsistencies in how your key players are locked up.
They're like core.
Yeah, exactly. Like the core or whatever. And I don't know if that would impact what Hughes signs or not. Just because, like, I mean, like you have, say, 2 of the guys who've been here the longest, Pettersson and Besser, are here for at least another 7 years. But then, like, the kind of, it's weird because you look at the whole core thing and there's like core and then like surrounding core, if that makes sense.
There's like pieces of a core, but there isn't a core.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like that, where it's like
okay, if we're being realistic here, you have in theory, you have Besser, Elias Pettersson, Jake DeBrusk, your first line, which fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not McDavid, Draisaitl, whoever's the third pair on that. It's not that level, but it's still decent.
And for most teams, it's not going to be McDavid, Draisaitl, right?
No,
like,
yeah.
So it's a good first line. Yeah,
it's a good first line. Then you go to your second line and you have virtually nothing. And I don't mean that as hate towards anyone on the team, but in theory, you would put Sherwood up there only because he's proven himself to be worthy of that. And that's about it. Like, the fact that I'm unable to list, maybe Drew O'Connor. He's been doing kind of decent. But I wouldn't put him at a 2C. Not at this point in his career.
Yeah, like you put like Sherwood, O'Connor, and then your center. That's a golden third line. Like that, like anyone
that's a fantastic third line.
Would be envious of like that kind of third or fourth line, right?
That's a third
second line. Yeah.
Fourth line.
Yes.
Like I want to say we have a first line and then we have 3 third lines. That's what Canucks hockey is right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then even with the defensemen, it's the same thing. You have Bronick and Hughes in theory, first line. What, you got Chaotic Giraffe and other Giraffe together? Marcus Pettersson and Myers? Is this supposed to be your second line? No. Anyways, yeah. There's just, I guess, a lot of frustration.
And it's interesting, like, to me, because I don't remember. Someone had brought it up on the radio, I think, a couple days ago. 3 years ago, this was one of the most like the deepest teams in the NHL on center. You had Pettersson, you had Horvat, and you had Miller. And all of a sudden, you're down to one of them, right? It's like it's crazy to think that you went from that
to
all of a sudden you're like David Kampf, second line center. No offense to David Kampf. Defensively, he's been solid, but he's not a second line center. But yeah, anyways, back to the whole trade thing. Yeah, so pretty much from what we hear, they say veterans, and there's been a lot of messaging around the team lately through articles and interviews and stuff that almost everyone is up for sale, right? One of those names that we've heard a lot is Kiefer Sherwood, which honestly, like, you can go about, yeah, you can go about trading Sherwood in a few different ways. One, you look at him as a asset. You look at him as he's never like, well, I don't want to say never because he could have another monster year, but right now his trade value is like the highest it has ever been, probably, right? And if you want to flip him for some like a good value, you do it right now.
Now's the time to do it.
Yeah, or towards the trade deadline, especially since right now he's a UFA and you don't seem like you're gonna sign him from what management has been saying, right? So because of that, I can see why he would be one of the assets they're looking to flip in the coming months or whatever it is. Garland's name has been out there too, but
I'm less inclined that Garland will get traded. I think it's more likely Sherwood or Garland.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No offense to Sherwood. If anything, that's probably a good thing for him.
If anything, it's a good thing for him, and I would be very sad. I would be tragically sad because I really do like him and I like his style of play. Oh, yeah. And I think he brings a good amount of physicality and pace to the team that is currently not there.
Yeah.
When he's playing well.
Mm-hmm. But I do think there are like the reason management has been so like hesitant to re-sign Sherwood is I feel like they saw what they did with the Dakota Joshua signing and they don't want to make that same kind of move, which honestly is a toss-up as well because like Joshua's last season with the Canucks, the guy had cancer. So like you can't really like at least give him another season to figure things out, right? Like
that was a bit of a shocking move for me.
Yeah, right. But I do think it was one of
I understand it, but it was a bit like they're just trading people prematurely. They're moving and trading people prematurely. That is what I like am finding consistently across the board.
Or they're trading for people prematurely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a great example of that one is Evander Kane.
Oh.
Like and you like sorry. No, you're good. And you'd mentioned Kane earlier, and I do think he is one of the players that people in the fan base want to move on from, but it's hard because right now he's making like what, $5 million a year. Of course, it's the final year of his current deal, but with what he has produced so far this season, I don't know if anyone is going to want to take that on and give the Canucks something back, right? Like if anything, dumping Kane would be like a cap dump, right? Like they send Kane and maybe like a couple picks and then they get like a low pick in return, right? Like it's one of those things where
they're not going to get a lot of return value from that.
Oh yeah.
But at this point, I would almost argue that it's better to just move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he's not contributing to the team. I don't care what he has to say. His play, like your actions speak louder than words. And your actions are showing to me that you are not in it. Like you're not there. You're just kind of playing hockey. You're drawing penalties for no reason. You're not moving the puck. Like, and again, I think maybe they're putting him in positions where he's not strongest, and that's preventing him from like producing more. But still, like if you're actually a good player and you're what people said you were back at like in Edmonton, this is not this is not the kind of quality you want to be producing right now.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that complements trading Kane is that he does have a 16 team no trade clause. So half of the league he can't trade him to. So,
And that's not including the people that already don't want him.
yep. One other thing that kind of has been confusing about the Canucks recently, and something that actually a lot of people were commenting on the past couple days was during a practice media scrum, head coach Adam Foote made this comment about like it was statistics or something where he was like he really spoke in favor of following the eye test versus looking at stats, like more advanced stats. And he even said this thing about like, oh, stat like along the lines of stats or like who knows who could be making them. It could be some guy in Russia who's eating like cashews and smoking cigarettes or something. I don't know. It was a very random comment, but a lot of people since have been talking about it online, I guess, and kind of giving him a little bit of heat for that.
Yeah.
But to kind of segue off of that, I think what's interesting to me is that Foot, as well as the team, kind of seem to be approaching the season in a way where they're taking more of a learning approach.
Yeah.
Their experience and how they're coaching, which is understandable given that Foot is a first-time NHL head coach. The last like he's only ever coached at like a head coach level at the WHL level. But especially with such a young roster to have these players kind of going through these circumstances or situations and kind of gaining experience from that is something that I see as a positive, but also a negative. Right.
Yeah. Interesting comment to say. I mean, I am a psychology major and I took like level 400 stats courses. So I'm a stats person and statistics don't lie. So for you to kind of just like say, hey, it doesn't really matter, kind of does. It is empirical proof that you are not doing well. You can't defend that. And yes, okay, in theory, future stats, like prediction stats, yeah, they're all based on predictions, but predictions are based off of performance, and your performance is not good. So for you to say that it's probably just some random guy from Russia or whatever, like, just own up to it. Say, hey, like, we're not doing well, and I'm aware, but I want to be able to turn this around. Like, take accountability for whatever's going on.
Part of me does also wonder, like, I had seen people bringing it up online that maybe he was making these kind of comments to take the heat off of the team and put it on himself so that when the media, hello, when the media approaches these things, they pick out and pinpoint his comments rather than the team's performance. It's a tactic that I know some coaches use, like Paul Maurice in Florida has been pretty has used that quite a bit. So part of me is kind of like, is this Foot's way of trying to put the attention on himself and steer it away from his team's performance? I don't know, but it is a very random comment to kind of make.
I mean, to be totally honest. Even if it is like a tactic, doesn't take away from your team's performance.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I don't think a lot of people care. If you're not
Yeah.
performing, you're not performing.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want, but that
Mhm.
doesn't take away from fact.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. And another thing that does kind of confuse me too is like management, like there was an article that came out where management said like, "Oh, we need to get younger, right? Like this team needs to get younger." But mind you, they are one of the younger teams in the NHL. So
Yeah,
for them to go
fourth
younger,
youngest team.
yeah, but then they say like I remember Foot did a media where he was saying like, "Oh, Reichel, like Lucas Reichel needs to work on things defensively before he can really be like flesh himself out as a center." But then they're not putting said players in the situations they need to experience these kinds of career growth trajectories. But then you say you're helping your players by learning via experience. But if they're not getting the experience because they're young and need
The
the
catch
experience,
22.
yeah, exactly. Then it's like we're just going around in circles here, right? So and then they're saying they don't want to rebuild, but they need to get younger. I don't know. It's
It's a mess.
confusing. Yeah, it's confusing messaging all around, in my opinion. I don't know what's going on with them.
It's just very disjointed.
Yes, exactly. But
Moving on.
yeah, we can move on from the confusing Canucks and go on to the Vancouver Goldeneyes, who are looking for a rebound. But one part of their interesting Wednesday game is the play of Emerance Maschmeyer, who has started the past two games for the Goldeneyes and
Oh, she's a beast, man.
all like as advertised, as advertised.
She's a veteran player. She knows what she's doing. Oh my gosh, I was so impressed. So impressed.
Like the score, like the, and here's an example of where stats might not always tell the truth, but the score, of course, 5-1, you look at that and you're like, oh God, like what happened?
You look at the shots
But
on goal.
yeah, but you look at the shots on goal, you look at the first period, the first and second period in particular for Maschmeyer, like that could have been like 4-5 at that
Easy.
point, 4-5 goals for the Charge at that point. But Maschmeyer saved them from a worse fate, right?
I think she's like the holy, I don't know, the holy grail that descended upon the Goldeneyes was like, let me bestow upon you my beauty, my grace, my abilities, and hopefully that will give you the confidence to go and make plays.
Which it didn't, but
Which it didn't. But still watching her in net was so rewarding. Like, honestly, not to hate on the team, but they put her in some very, very, very difficult situations.
I wouldn't consider that hate. I would just consider that the truth.
Like, yeah, like that's just point blank period what happened. And she made saves that were crazy. Like, there was one where there were two open Ottawa Charge players in front of the net. Guys, where's the defense? But anyways, and they tried to shoot it. She saves it, bounces back, passes it to the other side. She shoots it, saves it again. From one side of the net to the other. And she's not like 6'4", like Thatcher Demko is, who can make that kind of a save easily. She's got to move. She's got to have those fast reflexes. Yeah, she's got stretch. So I tweeted out, I was like, I understand the hype. I understand.
And
because
yeah. I
sorry.
think no, you're good. You're good. I think something that of course like you might like look over it a little bit, but also comes into play here is you think about how emotional the past two games have been for her in particular. You've got the home opener in front of all these new fans. It's like a massive, like fantastic atmosphere. And then you come into Ottawa where you spent like your entire PWHL, yeah, career. You come back here, the fans are like serenading you, saluting you, and she still goes out and like pulls off two phenomenal performances. And I think if anything, that show like that is a demonstration of how dominant she has been in those high pressure emotional situations, like say international games. Like there's a reason why she's got a trophy case, right?
Yeah,
And I think like that experience you can see in these first two games.
I completely agree with you. I think that she's just at a different level than most other goalies, if not like NHL goalies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would put her up there with some of the best goalies that I've seen. Like obviously women's play and men's play is very different.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you threw her into an NHL game, she would be be just fine.
Now here's a fun question that I just came up with. This is not on our topic list, but who had the better game on Wednesday, Maschmeyer or Nikita Tolopilo?
He did have a very good game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Poor
But
guy.
yeah.
Poor guy. His third game back after injury, like he came
After
back on
injury,
Friday.
they're like, there
He's
you
injured
go.
for a month. And then all of a sudden they're like, yep, come up to the NHL. And then he faces 41 shots in his first NHL game of the season. But he gets the win anyways. Like
Apilo's performance was more impressive, but Maschmeyer's execution was better.
yeah. No, I agree.
That makes sense.
I agree. Another thing I thought was neat, sorry, not to bring it back to the Canucks, but talking about Tolopilo reminded me of this. But one thing that I thought was neat was Max Sasson talked to the media after the game and he pretty much had a quote. He said, like, I expect this from Tolopilo, like the calmness, and he approaches every day the same way, which I thought was neat because, of course, Sasson has experience with Tolopilo with the Abbotsford Canucks and when they went on their run last year and such. So it's neat seeing all those Abbotsford guys up with the NHL and kind of doing that, even though performance meh
Performance,
on
yeah.
certain days. But back to the Goldeneyes. I agree with you on that. Good way of phrasing it. I don't think I could have phrased it any better myself. But
yeah,
she was undoubtedly the star for the Goldeneyes.
I would argue almost from both nights.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not to take away from Abby Borin's night, the first game, but holy, she's just so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's someone you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I mentioned this in the last episode, but like your goalie's like a quarterback. You know, they set the tone, they set the pace. Having such a strong foundation to build off of is really promising.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though the Goldeneyes forwards and defense might not be confident, she's confident in her ability. You can see that she knows what she's doing. And that in it of itself should start to ease the forwards especially.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, like I can make riskier plays because I know that I have someone in net that is gonna save everything.
Yeah.
Like obviously that's not the way that you should be thinking, but in theory, you have someone in net that is going to make the saves that you need to be. So push those plays, make riskier stuff. You know, like don't just. I think, and I quoted in my quoting myself. They kind of played past the puck. I remember specifically while watching, one of the announcers was like, there were 3 passes just between defensemen. It was Bell, Thompson, Bell. And I was like, that should not be happening.
You're like, where are the forwards?
Yeah. Like, where are the forwards? Where is the shot? Like, You like, yes, you can do that sometimes in power plays, but this was just a 5-on-5. So I don't know. Work needs to be done, but
Mhm.
I love Maschmeyer.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what Campbell can do in net
I
though.
was actually just gonna say that with Maschmeyer playing so well, I wonder when we will see our first start by Kristen Campbell. Could it be Saturday since Maschmeyer's had the first two? Who knows, right?
I think it would make sense. That's kind of what the Canucks did too, right?
Mhm.
It was Demko first two and then Lankinen, if
Yeah, it'd be
I'm
like
not
Demko,
mistaken.
Demko, Lankinen, Demko, Demko,
Yeah.
Lankinen, and then sometimes switch on and off. But yeah, so that'll be something interesting to look out for in the next little bit. But another neat touch that Chris Sinclair, who is also with the Hockey News women's site for the Ottawa Charge, he had pointed out during the Goldeneyes Charge game, the starting lineup for the Goldeneyes was all former Charge. So they had Teresa Vanishova, Ashton Bell, and Emerance Maschmeyer all starting for the Goldeneyes. So that was neat. That was a neat little touch. But moving on from that, we've talked a little bit about it and how the Goldeneyes have some lessons to learn heading into this new season. It's only been a couple of days, but how do we think they stack up compared to the rest of the PWHL so far? It's hard to kind of gauge since it's so early, but from these first two games, what do we think?
I think because they're playing the Sirens next, right?
Mhm.
I think personally they're going to win that game. They are going to have a much tougher time playing Toronto, Boston, Montreal,
Mhm.
and most importantly, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Those games are going to be very challenging because those teams have been around for, like, okay, the Sirens are decent, but they're not, like, not to hate on the Sirens or anything, but it's evident that in comparison to the other teams in the PWHL, they're lacking, which is fine. There's room for improvement. But those teams, especially the Frost game, is going to be a true testament to whether the Goldeneyes can pull together as a team.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Because it's one thing to rely on talent and skating and hope that speed and pure willpower gets you there, but you have to be able to play as a team on against another team.
Against like proven teams, right? Teams
Yes.
that have already won in or have played and know what it feels like to win in this league, right?
Yeah.
I do think with how Ottawa played, it could be a one-off because of course, like with the Charge, they play a certain style where they're very smothering on defense, right? So maybe in other games, the Goldeneyes will be able to kind of fly, pun intended, fly a little, take flight a little more in terms of offense. But
I think
like
they're
you
in a
said, like,
better scenario than most of the Vancouver teams.
yes, that's true. That is very
I
true.
think, yeah, as I said, I think they have the potential to get there. They just need to be able to get there.
Yeah. And it's still early, like
Yeah.
we talked about. But uh regardless, it's very clear that their players are capable of doing some pretty impressive things. Mashmeyer, we just talked about. And it'll be exciting to see a healthy Sarah Nurse as well whenever she returns. Um,
Can I say something that I think might be not controversial, but I think might be true to a certain extent?
mhm.
I think that they rely a little bit too much on Nurse to generate plays. Because she was always the one going in for it, like really gunning it.
Mhm.
And it just felt like it was lacking that sort of pace that Sarah Nurse
Mm,
brings to the lineup.
yeah. Mhm.
That said, you can't rely on one player.
Yeah.
So as much as I like Sarah Nurse, it might be good to have her out for a couple of games so that the team really gets confident in their ability, and then bringing her back, more confidence, better team, better execution, better everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Oh, I was gonna say something. One player I am interested in watching a little more closely if Sarah Nurse is out for a little longer is Anna Segué, who made her PWHL debut actually on Wednesday against the Charge. I believe she played a little under 10 minutes throughout the game. There were times where I did see like a bit of flash, a bit of jump from her and some speed, which I do like. But again, limited minutes. We have yet to see a lot of things, but it's an early season. So I'll be interested to see what her role with the team becomes once things are a little more evened out.
Also curious to see which forwards actually start shooting instead of poor Claire Thompson. I'm like, guys, put her in the forward lineup. Like, what are we doing here?
The
But
Vancouver hockey teams have a shooting problem, I guess.
yeah,
But
yeah,
okay.
mostly positive to take
Yeah,
away from the Goldeneyes. It's
yeah,
a tragic loss, but it's not the end all be all.
yeah. And they've got more games coming up. So once those come up, we'll see how things go. But I think,
That's all we got, right?
yeah, I think that's everything from us this week. As always, drop a comment to leave some topic suggestions if you want. Or you can reach out to us on socials. We'll put that in the or in our little blurb comment section, whatever.
Reach out to us wherever.
Yes. But have a great rest of your week, everybody. Enjoy some Goldeneyes and maybe Canucks hockey. But for American listeners, happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, Thanksgiving.
And take care. We'll
We'll
see
see
you
you.
next week.